momentarily. All right. Thanks to everybody who joined the call. We will get started in another minute. I have 102. We want to make sure we have enough time for our speaker. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Keisha Pollock, and I'm excited for everybody who's on the call today and also online at the GoTo meeting. If you're not yet logged on, I encourage you to get online because we have a great presentation today and we'll have some slides. So again, welcome to this month's PAPRN Plus network call. I want to just begin by reminding everybody, if you're not speaking, to please mute your phone. We've been hearing some background noise and I want to make sure everybody can hear all of the presenters. Before I go into updates from the Coordinating Center, let me turn it over to Tom from the CDC to provide some updates.
Happy end of July. We have a new division director. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but her name's Ruth Peterson. She's the former director of chronic disease out of North Carolina Department of Health, and we're particularly excited about her because she has an interest in physical activity. She's been involved with some of the active living by design efforts that's been going on in North Carolina for a long time, and she's been supportive of establishing things like memorandums of understanding between the Department of Health and Department of Transportation, kinds of things we've been promoting. The other bit of news is REACH, which is a funded project that's been in another division. It's racial and ethnic approaches to community health is going to be joining our division, and that's good for several reasons. One is they do complementary work to the things we've been doing, including promoting complete streets and increased access. Their focus is much more at the community participatory sort of level. Sort of if you guys knew what PATCH was, which was a community intervention some years ago, they use a similar model. And then finally, we've established what's called a FACA, a Federal Advisory Group, that's going to be reviewing the scientific literature to update the physical activity guidelines, which will be coming out in 2018. A couple of topics they may be looking at will include low-intensity physical activity. We talk about moderate and vigorous as the goals, but there's been increasing interest in what happens with the low-level activity. And then also they're going to be looking at sedentary behavior and seeing if that's an independent risk factor. So that's basically what we have from here. No updates on funding or things like that.
Great, thanks, Tom. And that's terrific about the new director. And we look forward to hopefully getting her involved here with PAPRN Plus. So it's terrific.
Yeah, actually, when I get back from the PAPRN Plus meeting, I'll update her on that and see if she wants to get more engaged.
Great, thank you. All right. So we'll move right along on the agenda, updates from the Coordinating Center. Let me remind everybody not speaking, so please mute your phone. Thank you. So the first thing I wanted to mention, and it was sent out on the announcement email that came out on Monday with this agenda, including that email was an announcement for an upcoming webinars. So PAPRN Plus and Active Living Research have partnered with America Walks to organize 2 webinars, which we encourage all of you to sign up for. The first one is occurring next week on August 3rd from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is on effective walking and walkability interventions. And the goal of that webinar is to talk about the state of the science on effective walking and walkability interventions, especially as it relates to dissemination and implementation research. And we're thrilled. There are fantastic speakers, Greg Keys from University of Tennessee Lee from Texas A&M, and Nicole from Indiana University, and Kate Kraft, who is the Executive Director of America Walks, is going to moderate that webinar. On August 18th, so just a couple weeks later, there's a second webinar, and that one is focused on dissemination and implementation, and really looking at the field of D&I and saying, you know, what lessons do we have from D&I that we can apply to interventions that promote walking and walkability. And that webinar will feature Jackie Kerr and Ross Brownson, and Jim Salas will be moderating that. And those webinars are part of a grant that America Walks received with support from PAPRN Plus and ALR to look at the application of dissemination and implementation research for walking and walkability. So we are excited that through the NIH support, we're able to open up these two webinars to anybody who's interested. Again, for more specific information and the links to register, please look for the email that came out on Monday announcing this call, and you'll see that the links are there for you. A second update that I have is for, please be on the lookout for an email in the future if you're attending APHA. NOPRN and PAPRN Plus are going to jointly sponsor a social where we can just find some time to network. So there will be an email that will go out with the minutes from this call that has that's collecting some information so we can decide the best time to host that social during APHA. And we hope that folks are available to come and just say hello to us and also interact with NOPRN, our sister organization also funded by the CDC. I want to remind everybody, if you're interested in being involved in one of the working groups, there are always opportunities to connect. As a reminder, the working groups that we're supporting are gathered around the topics of older adults, complete streets, school wellness, rural physical activity, parks and recreation, and workplace health promotion. Please look at the website for more information or reach out to myself or Amanda Wilson, who's been providing support for the working groups, and we can connect you with information about when they're meeting and the types of activities going on. I will say the working groups are all very excited about their work and interested and busy and starting to really work on some papers, and so we are thinking of products for each of the groups, and the coordinating center is able to provide a little bit of support for a student to help move those activities forward. So again, if you're interested in connecting with the working group, please reach out to us. There will be a call for abstracts opening soon for active living research. So as a reminder, ALR 2017 will be happening at the end of February, and again back in Florida. And so if you're interested in presenting at that meeting, please look out for the call for abstracts, which will be out very soon. I think, Amanda, if you're on, do you have a more target date when that's out? Mute. You're not. You. Okay, I guess Amanda's on off. Keep a lookout for the announcement for call for abstracts for action research. So those are all the updates after the Coordinating Center. Again, please look out for the notes that will be coming after this meeting that will include some specific information highlighting what I mentioned today, and also, again, look out for the email that came out on Monday if you're interested in registering for the webinars, again, that are occurring in the afternoon on August 3rd and on August 18th. So with that, I'm going to transition to our speaker for today. We are very excited. And Jamie, I know you're going to be using your own slides, but I have your brief bio right here. And so I will read that. And Jamie Kleinsorg is a project director at the Institute for People, Place, and Possibility, IP3. If you haven't heard of IP3 yet, they're doing fantastic things, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today. Jamie's been on the development and training teams for Community Commons also since 2001. Jamie holds a Master of Science in Rural Sociology with an emphasis in community development from the University of Missouri, Columbia, and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Western Illinois University. Jamie has both academic expertise and on-the-ground experience in community and economic development, public health, data analysis, GIS, and nonprofit management. We are thrilled that Jamie is speaking with us today, and her talk is entitled Community Commons, Data and Data Visualization Tools to Support Policy Research. So let me go ahead and turn it over to Jamie.
Hi, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be here with you all today. So can you see my screen okay? I just want to make sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So as Keisha said, I am Jamie Kleinsorge. I work for the Institute for People, Place, and Possibility, also known as IP3, and we are one of 3 organizations that helps power communitycommons.org. And so the other 2 organizations that we work very closely with are the Center for Applied Research and Environmental Systems, also known as CARES. We're all about our acronyms around here, as you guys probably are too. And then we also work with community initiatives. And CARES is at the University of Missouri, and they're really our technology backbone and data warehouse for Community Commons. And community initiatives are really our national partners. They do a lot of on-the-ground consulting work. IP3 focuses mostly on training, analysis, and user support. And so as Keisha mentioned, I've been with Community Commons since it launched in 2011, and we've made a lot of great changes and upgrades since then, and hopefully we can continue to do that and provide free data and tools to folks like you. And so that's really what we're going to focus on today, is just what our site can offer you as people who are working in this health movement and also doing research. And so communitycommons.org is where I'm at right now. This is going to be a live presentation. We don't do a lot of slides because we realize that our tools and our data aren't very exciting on a slide, but they're much more exciting when you can see them live in person. And so I'll be going through that. So just as a quick note, in order to access the maps and data that I'm going to show you today, you will need to be a member of Community Commons, which is free. You can register anytime. There's normally a registration link up here at the right-hand side. I'm already logged in. And all you need is just a username, email, and password. It should just take you a few minutes to do that. So the first thing that I want to show you all is, just so you know, this is our homepage. We try to feature things that are going on across the country related to the Healthy Communities movement. So if you ever had a story you wanted to tell or share with us, we would be delighted to share it on our site. Also, if you're ever looking for inspiration, this is a great place to come and search our articles and see what others are doing across the country related to food or physical activity, wellness, those types of things. So the first area of Community Commons that I want to show you is really our data warehouse. And so you guys can get a better idea of what we have available and what might be able to support the policy research and work that you all are doing. So under this Maps and Data tab, where we'll spend most of our time today, there's a link that says Make a Map. And what happens now is we're in our GIS system, which I'll show you how that works. But first, we're linked to our data list or our data warehouse. And so just to give you an idea of what we have available, I just clicked a link that says Browse Data by Source. And so you can see here, you can scroll through all the different types of data that we have available on Community Commons. There are over 10,000 layers available here, and we work very hard to make sure that they are up to date and accurate. And I'll show you how to get more information about where our data comes from, methodology, those types of things, since that's something you're probably interested in. But first and foremost, I just want to show you the variety and just the gamut of what our data is available on the site. So you can see here we have lots of health-related data. That's the majority of what we have available on the site, but we do have things that are related to the environment and the economy things that are related to food and things like housing. You see mortgage information, IRS, so things that are related to business. Also natural environment type of data as well. Lots of national data from, trusted federal sources. So just scrolling through this very slow, you can hopefully get an idea of what is available, kind of the swath that is available to you. And all of these data layers are free to access, and they're able to be mapped within our system. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top and click Start Over. You can also browse our data by topic, and so as you can see here, we have some of these drop-downs under Civic and Socials, where you can get a lot of your demographic information. As you see, we have a lot of drop-downs, a lot of ACS data, those types of things. But you can also look under Health or Environment and see what we have there. So those are just two ways to kind of get an idea of what is available on the site. The other way to search our data, which is probably the easiest way to go about things, if you know what you're looking for, is to just use a keyword search. And so I know, for example, that you guys have a working group that's focused on older adults. And so I'm just going to type in the number 65 here, because I know that a lot of our data is broken down by age groups. So 0 to 17, 18 to 64, 65 plus, that's the census breakdown of a lot of data. And so you can see here I've returned 59 records that are related to that older adult population. So if you were looking for some data specific to older adults, folks that are 65 and older, you can just use that search data function real quick to get more information. Next to each of our data sets that we have available to you to map, there's always this info button. And as researchers, I hope and I imagine that you guys can appreciate more information about where data comes from, how to get more information about the data and methodology. So by clicking that info button here, you can see that I have a description. I know its release date, how often it's released, what types of data is available. So is it a percent or a total? You can see either of those. What geographic unit it's available at. So a lot of the ACS data is available at the state level, which we know can be meaningful if you're doing a state-by-state comparison, but a lot of times we're looking at those more granular geographies, or looking for those more granular geographies. So things like tract, zip code are available, so you can see the data at smaller geographies. And then there's also links to the sources, so you can get information about how it was collected, its methodologies, any margin of error type of information will be there as well. So in order to add any of these data layers to a map, you would simply just click the checkbox next to it. But I want to go ahead and show you, another couple ways to search. So, for example, I know that you guys have a group that's working on complete streets. So just simply by typing in the word transportation, again, I've returned about 60 results here, and I can see that there's a pretty wide variety of data that's available related to transportation here within our database. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this low transportation cost. We'll see what that looks like on the map, but you can get a sense of what is available here. So those are the first two that I'm just going to go ahead and let's see. There should be one more data set I want to add here to this map, and I'm going to just type in transit, and here we go, distance to nearest transit stop. So now I've chosen 3 layers to add to my map. And so it's just that simple, searching through, clicking to see what you can get. And dynamically, it's going to add all 3 of those data layers to my map. So I'm going to go to a location. We'll just go to Kansas City here. And I did that just by searching the words Kansas City up here in the right-hand side. You can also type in, a zip code or an address if you wanted to get more granular, those types of things. You can zoom in and zoom out over here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm actually going to add some state boundaries so we know where that boundary is. So right now we're looking at 3 layers on top of each other, not all that exciting, so I'm going to turn a couple of those off. But you can see here now that at a block group level we can see distance to nearest transit stops. We could turn that off and turn on disabled populations. Looks like this is showing at a county level, so we could actually look at that at a track level, which might be more meaningful. We could look at these data layers side by side. So here we have disabled population on one side, age 65 and older. On the left side, we could add that transit distance stop, so we could do some comparison, or we could add this low transportation cost by tract and start doing some comparisons there as well. So this is just one example of a way that you can use the data that we have available to start to visualize some of the issues that you might be tackling in your research. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys, or would love to hear from you at the end of this, is, what types of data are you looking for? Why are they most useful? And do you incorporate things like maps into your policy briefs or white papers or presentations, whatever your outputs are? And if so, why is that meaningful to you? And do you find it helpful, or what do you find most helpful? So that's just one example here. I was going to show one more for you, so I'm going to go ahead and open up a new map and show you that we do have, so I know that you guys have a working group around schools, so I'm going to go ahead and just type in the word schools. I have 37 records that resulted from that search, and so I'm going to go ahead and choose majority-minority schools here. And also we have farm-to-school programs. Oops. So I'll go ahead and add that layer as well. And so I've just chosen 2 layers here. I'm going to have to zoom in to see some of this data. So we'll go, for example, to Dallas, Texas. We can see here farm-to-school programs by district and majority-minority schools. And so you can start to see maybe some areas that would benefit from farm-to-school policies or those types of things. So a couple of advanced tools that we have available on the site, and probably I think would be interesting for researchers to know about, is we have some query data tools, select data tools, and we also have a walk score tool. So anytime you're in our map room and you're looking at something and you want to get a walk score, you can very simply do that just by using this advanced mapping tool and getting a walk score there. But we do have some query data tools, so if you're looking to narrow down or get some more information, you can do that. So here I'm going to choose my majority-minority school district. I can see that I want, to choose that, there's more than a certain number of African American students, and I can run a query and see now that all of the schools that are highlighted in red meet my criteria of having more than 100 African American students. At the bottom here, I can show an attribute table. And so what this is going to do for me then is give me some really great data that I could then put into some research as well if I wanted to. Name of the school, and then total students, and then it breaks it down by all the race and ethnicities there. And so it's pulling that information for the map extent that I'm looking at now. I could zoom in and get a smaller number of records, zoom out and get a larger number of records. I can download this into an Excel file so I could easily transport it or calculate it with some other indicators, those types of things. So that's just one of the advanced tools that I thought that you guys might be interested in. The last thing I'm going to show you today is our community health needs assessment reports. And we feel that these are very useful when doing your own research. So over here, we were on this Make a Map side, and now we're going to go to the other side of the house that we have here in Community Commons and click Build a Report. And so back in 2012, there was a working group that worked very hard to determine about 120 indicators that they felt were necessary to do a really good comprehensive community health needs assessment. And so that's what you'll see here in Community Commons is the product of that working group, and we've refined it over time. So the first thing that you'll need to do is, choose your report area. So you can choose a state and then a series of counties, one county or more than one county. So here we can choose for example, Broward and Calhoun County in Florida. I could add more, I could take some away. I could do a smaller area if I wanted to using our custom area, but we'll go ahead and just stick with county level here. I simply click View Report, and it's going to pull about 100, like I said, 120 some indicators for those two counties in Florida. And so you can see here under demographics, we have a lot of the normal information about population of these areas. Under social and economic factors, we dive a little bit deeper into some poverty, insurance, unemployment rates, violent crime, those types of things. But we also have physical environment, which I can imagine that you guys would be probably very interested in. And what we see here is, you're able to click through any of these data indicators and get information for those two counties you've selected as a report area. So right now we're looking at air quality. Again, we have a data table. So we see an aggregate number for the report area, which are those two counties that we looked at, and then we have it broken down by county. I can download this data, again, into an Excel file. I can get more information, just like that info button, by clicking down here and learning about the data source. I can have this mapped if I want to. Anytime that we can show information or data over time, we do that. So you can see that in table format, and you can also see that as a graph down here. And then we have footnotes if you want more information. So all of our data indicators within the CHNA report have basically the same layout. So again, you can see here I've changed my indicator to recreation and fitness facility access. We have a STEM sentence and a downloadable data table. We have these nice dials that help you benchmark very quickly. I know that the part of what you guys try to do is dissemination and implementation. I can imagine priority setting is a part of that, and so these benchmarks are very helpful when it comes to doing priority setting. Again, you can map this information, and then anytime we can show change over time, we do that in table format and as a graph. So I know I've thrown a lot at you there. We have a lot to offer on the site, but really I just wanted to give you an idea of what's available to you as researchers and folks that are working with physical and built environment types of work. And if you want to get any deeper, I'd be happy to talk with you one-on-one. I can also direct you to our support page where we have lots of videos that can walk you through how to use the different tools available on our site. So with that, I will turn it back over to Keisha and open it up for questions or discussion.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie, for a great presentation and a really terrific demonstration of these data. So we have time for questions now, and I actually wanted to start with one, if you don't mind. As you were going through this, and as I was looking at the website before the call, can you talk a little bit about sort of the access to the data and sort of publicly available, and then sort of the private access? Because when I was on the website, you can, I guess, log on and have an account and get other layers. And can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So, everybody has access to our public database. So, as I was showing you in the beginning, those over 10,000 layers that we have available. But we do also have a portion of our site. You can see that we have hubs up here who are groups that have engaged with us to incorporate their own local data. We obviously know that's very important to folks these days, is to being able to incorporate their own local data and marrying that with some of the national data that is available. And so we do have a data upload function. You can see here, it's by subscription only, so you won't see that upload data tab as just a free member. But we could talk to you about, incorporating some of your own data here, and then, you would have your own little area that says My Data, and it would have any of the data that you've uploaded here. So, for example, these are things that are in my profile, nonprofit assets for Missouri, that I have access to and I could share with others if I wanted to, but it's not available publicly for everyone on the site because it's something that I've chosen to upload, and again, like I said, map and marry with other national data sources.
Great, thank you. I have some other questions, but I'll certainly pause and let others chime in. Anybody have questions for Jamie?
Hi, this is Amanda at Active Living Research. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Amanda. Thanks.
Okay. You kind of answered one of my questions. I know you have a lot of great data and information, so I think it'd be helpful to have someone to kind of walk through that if you're working on a project and kind of don't know where to start. So that was helpful to have the resources and ability to reach out to you. And so if folks are using the maps and things like that in their research, is there any kind of permission that you need to get, or are those just available to upload and use?
Yeah, they're available to upload and use. Anytime you export a map from our system, the Community Commons logo and our website will show up at the bottom of the map, just citing that that's where it came from. Also, if you search citation on our site, we have suggested citation for how to go about acknowledging that the maps came from Community Commons, but the data came from its original source. So yeah, we would love the hat tip if you want to let people know it's where it came from, but mostly it's publicly accessible data, so you can use it however you want to.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
And Jamie, this is Keisha again. You mentioned that there are some videos online, and just wondering what kind of support you guys provide to people who are need a little bit more than the videos, or what kind of technical assistance is available.
Absolutely. So we do have that support area on our site that shows they're short videos, so you can watch them very quickly, get an idea of what you're looking for. We have some how-to exercises that are on there as well. But if you do have additional questions or you just can't figure something out, at the bottom of every page of our site, there's a contact us link, and so we have a small team of people here, me and a couple of my colleagues who will answer your questions, who can walk you through a problem that you're having or a question with screenshots or whatever it may be. We do also offer, on our site we have archived webinars. So if you wanted to go back and spend a little bit of extra time learning and getting more acquainted with our tools and their functionality, you could watch one of those webinars, and then we do offer 2 free publicly available webinars every month that range in topic. They cover, sometimes they're really general and broad and cover just like our mapping or reporting tools. Other times they dig a little bit deeper and do some case making, storytelling type of topics.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Jamie, this is Keisha again. Can you talk a little bit more about how often you guys are updating the data, one, and then two, can you reflect a little bit on things you've heard from people who use your data in terms of some of the challenges or data that you don't yet have that people hope you would add or maybe thinking of adding in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a data team that, like I said, they work very hard to keep things as up to date as possible. So anytime, we have something that's available to be updated, we will acquire that and update it as quickly as possible. That being said, if it's a single data layer from a single source, that can take us, just a few days maybe to get that in the system. If it's something like the ACS update, the American Community Survey, which is hundreds and hundreds of layers, that takes us about 3 months to work through that. So just know that some of those larger data sets, it may take us a little bit more time. But we do watch release dates very closely, and so if you do see something that's out of date, please let us know through that contact link, and we'll try to work to get that up to date as quickly as possible. Some of the limitations, as I mentioned, we have a lot of national data from federal sources, which is great because we always know that it's valid and the methodology is pretty solid, but people always want things at more granular levels. So something that might only be available at the county level, people wish was available at block group or block or tract level because it's obviously more meaningful to look at that way. We're kind of bound by those folks who are collecting the data, and if they don't collect it at that small of a geography, then we can't report it back at that small of a geography without doing some custom area estimation, which we do in some circumstances, but we try to make sure that we're being really cognizant of margin of error in those types of situations. And so I think that's one of the big things that we struggle with and that, folks who use our site struggle with. The other being that I think there's a group, one of your working groups is folks from rural areas. I spent a lot of my time in graduate school working with folks in rural areas and thinking about rural issues and rural data, and that continues to be a struggle for us as well. Obviously, we have a lot more information about urban settings than we do rural, and so that's always been or continues to be a limitation. But the exciting part is there are more and more folks out there learning how to collect data in such a way that can be, validated and then disseminated through GIS. And so that's what we, look forward to is continuing to find partners and additional data sources that we can trust and rely on and put in our site and make available publicly to be able to be used.
Terrific, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other questions for Jamie? Jamie, I have one more for the researchers on the phone, who are looking to, use your data and to, publish from them. I mean, do you guys ever partner on publications or projects, or do you, are you involved in or are included as subcontracts on grants sometimes? Just wondering a little bit about how we can develop relationships with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we here at IP3 do some data analysis, and so we would be happy to have conversations with folks that are looking to partner on doing some analysis. Again, we also work with the Center for Applied Research and Environmental Systems at the University of Missouri, and they also will do some analysis. And if you ever wanted data that was sliced and diced a little bit differently than what we show publicly available on our site, they're the team to do that. And so we would be happy to talk with folks. And we do have some products that we've helped produce in the past in terms of research, and so if you wanted to get in touch with us about what we've done in the past or what we're willing to do in the future, yeah, we'd be happy to talk about that as well.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And when we send out the minutes from this meeting, we'll include your email address if that's okay. If people want to contact you, or do we just direct them to the website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Either through the website or directly through email is just fine.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions for Jamie or about IP3 or the Community Commons data? All right. Well, hearing none, let me go ahead and thank you and thank Jamie on behalf of PAPRN Plus for making time to present to us today. I was aware of your data but hadn't seen you present on it, so this was really helpful for me, and what great resources. So thank you much for demonstrating the kinds of things you guys can have produced and how folks who are involved with this network could access the data. So we really appreciate your time today.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Great. So before we wrap up our time today, I wanted to just allow some time for open mic for any announcements or things that people want to share. I know, Amanda, earlier we couldn't hear you, so if you have an announcement about ALR, feel free to make it now. So I'll just pause here and allow people to use this time to share anything that they'd like or to ask for resources or anything else.
Sure, this is Amanda. So I actually just emailed Elsevier this morning for an update on the call for abstract system. So that should be, I should have an update on that tomorrow morning, and we'll send a notice out to the PAPRN network when the call for abstract system is up and ready. It should be very soon, as early as tomorrow, I'm hoping, actually. And then the other conference that I wanted to bring to people's attention, there's an annual conference on the science of dissemination and implementation in health, and that's co-hosted by NIH and Academy Health on December 14th through 15th in DC. And there is a call for abstracts for that. Unfortunately, it closes very soon, so I'm not sure if anyone's going to have time to pull anything together. That deadline is August 4th. But I just wanted to bring that meeting up to folks. Maybe some of you have already known about it or attended, but I think it's a relevant conference for this network, and potentially maybe we should put that on the calendar for next year to try to submit some of the working group or collaborating center work.
Great, thank you. Good idea.
This is Tom. I'll just follow on with yet another conference people would like to know about. We had a very successful walking summit in 2015. And there'll be another walking summit, and this one's going to be in St. Paul, again sponsored, co-hosted by America Walks. The last one was really successful, included some discussions about the community commons and items like that. So put it on your calendars.
Great, thanks, Tom.
This is Teresa Penbrook. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Teresa.
Hi, everybody. I had two things I wanted to bring up. The first one is GP Red, which is a national nonprofit that does research, education, and development for health, recreation, and land management agencies, is having their fourth transdisciplinary think tank in November 2nd through 4th in Annapolis, Maryland. And it's basically a national gathering of great minds to discuss innovations, best practices, and collaboration among health, recreation, planning, and land management professionals, and it is an invited think tank. And so I think, Keisha and Amanda, if you don't mind, I'll send you the invitation and we can share it if anybody would like to attend. There are some spots open. We've got a lot of different topics, and a lot of them are related to what PAPRN is really focused on, and also bringing in some other transdisciplinary nature. So that's the first one. The second thing I wanted to bring up is some of you know that I am in a PhD program at North Carolina State University, and woohoo, I just passed the dissertation proposal stage, and so now I'm a PhD candidate, and I am, thank you, and I am working on my dissertation. And so the dissertation topic, I wanted to see if any of you might have a suggestion. I'm doing literature review, a Delphi study, and also a case study. And the topic is positioning local parks and recreation agencies as preventative public health providers, and I'm focusing primarily on middle school aged youth because that's when they start to make their decision making, and I needed to pick a certain cohort. And so what I'm really looking at is the intersection of public health and community, local community parks and recreation. For the Delphi study, I am recruiting between 8 and 15 local parks and recreation agency representatives who say, basically meet the criteria, who are trying in some way to address the health factors related that are potentially modifiable by local parks and recreation agencies. And I've got about 6 identified. I'm still looking for some more. I've been working with the National Recreation and Parks Association. So if any of you are working with a local government parks and recreation agency that may be trying to improve outcomes for at least one key factor, such as nutrition, transportation, physical activity, social engagement, any of those perceptions of safety, any of those potential factors that are related to health through parks and recreation actions, I would love to have their person involved as a key informant on the Delphi study. And I'll be happy to share my results once I get through with that. I'm looking at kind of completing early next spring and hopefully being done by next May. So yeah, I can also send that invitation to you all if that's okay.
Yeah, Teresa, how about sending a blurb with both of those to me, and we'll be sure to add it to the minutes that we're sending from here, and we have people contact you directly.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Really terrific. And I have an announcement for yet another conference, right? We all have so many to attend. This one was sent to me from America Walks, and so America Walks and the Everybody Walk Collaborative, they are leading 2 half-day trainings on building equitable communities at Pro Walk, Pro Bike, Pro Place, which is in Vancouver on September 12th. And so they are doing some hands-on training to teach participants how to engage the public on issues relating to walking and walkable communities using a social justice framework and really promoting equitable communities. So if you're interested in attending that, the link to the application was on the PAPRN Plus email we sent out on Monday, but we can also add it again to the minutes that we sent out from this call. Are there other announcements, other things people want to share or request? All right. Well, hearing none, let me thank everybody again for this great call. Let me remind all of you that we meet every other month as a full network. So our next call will be in September. As a reminder, if you're interested in being a speaker, whether to present research or to present some of the work you're doing from the practice or policy world, we would love to have you. I mean, I encourage you to reach out to me or email us at the PAPRN Plus email, or even send us something, send us a tweet, and we'll reach out to you and get something scheduled. The way to stay engaged between our meetings is to connect with the working group, and they tend to meet monthly. And again, if you're interested in connecting with one of our 6 working groups and you haven't yet, and you need more information, feel free to contact me. And my email address, for those of you who don't have it, is kpollac1@jhu.edu. Again, I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for making time today. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Enjoy August. And we look forward to being on the phone again with all of you at the end of September. Again, if you're interested in presenting on a future call, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And I will happily give you back 10 minutes of your day, and hope that you have a great day. So thank you. Thank you.